Okay, I guess a lot of people have come already. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar about the new releases within Workday. So I am Nora Tumba, and I'm a Workday consultant at HRPath. I will be facilitating this webinar with my colleague Alexandra Thompson.
Good morning.
So before we transition to the presentation, we will quickly go over our functioning. So all attendees will be muted. The chat is disabled. However, questions can be asked and will be dealt with at the end of the webinar if time allows it. And if not, we will get back to you by email with the answer to your questions. Also note that all attendees will receive this PowerPoint presentation by email in the course of next week. So the objective of today is to provide you with a clear understanding of the upcoming changes in Workday 33. Also to enable you to consider what is applicable to your company and where HRPath can assist you. So for this second session, we will cover core and advanced compensation, benefits, talent and performance, recruiting, and learning. Note that all the features in the releases are based on customer experience, and the features that we'll present you hopefully apply to your needs. And if not, don't hesitate to go on brainstorms on the Workday community to look for other customers' suggestions or to suggest your own features that you would like to see developed by Workday in the next release. Safe Harbor applies here. During the presentation, you will see features that are either opt-in, automatically available, or for which the production date needs to be determined. So with that said, we start with our first module, that is core compensation, and I leave the floor to Alexandra.
Thanks, Nora. So I'll start to walk you through core compensation. The first functionality is the compensation survey management. So for companies that may use multiple compensation surveys from different vendors, Workday 33 is providing new tools about this. So to manage compensation surveys and job matches, you can now maintain multiple surveys, compensation surveys, survey vendor, and survey products. So if we go to the next slide, please, Nora. We can see that there is first of all, a new web service to maintain the job catalog and a new web service to delete, edit, and add the matches between job and job profile. So this is with a report to display this match. And this report can be customized to include other fields as well. So this is the task to maintain several compensation survey vendors and products and add details to surveys. So it's called Maintain Compensation Survey Vendors and Products. And this is just a little demo of the two new EIBs. So the first one is called Upload Survey Jobs, and the other one is Put Compensation Survey Job Matches, which I just mentioned. The second functionality for core compensation is custom validations for one-time payments. With this release of Workday 33, you can now configure validations for one-time payments. This is to generate error messages and warnings during the transaction, which was not possible before. So the condition rules can be built using custom report fields. You can therefore create your own validation rules adapted to your own business. So with the maintain custom validations task that you can see here, this is where you can do this. It is supporting for a standalone process, one-time payment for referral, one-time payment for offer or employment agreement. And the third core compensation functionality proposed by Workday 33 is the miscellaneous enhancements. So it's a series of enhancements, basically. So it's adding basically greater flexibility to the core compensation functionality. So it adds a new compensation review participation organization details secured by role report data source that you can use in custom reports. The compensation review participation organization details is renamed compensation review participation organization details, secured by top level. So let's have a look at the next slide for these miscellaneous enhancements. There is first, Workday adds a number of improvements to have greater flexibility. The maintain custom labels task is now permitted to override the labels of bonus and stock. That's in the compensation tasks and reports. New reports fields are going to be available to report on compensation changes to a non-primary compensation basis for a worker or position. Now waiting periods are available to be used in stock plans and will function the same as bonus and stock plans do. The maintain event categories and reasons are now updated, and they include a manager reason checkbox, which was not there before, for the request compensation change BP. Reasons checked will be available for managers in that sense to use in self-service transaction. And finally, pay range midpoint has been added as an instance value calculation to provide the grade or grade profile midpoint for use of calculated plans. And that's actually all for the core compensation. I will leave Nora to tell you a little bit about advanced compensation features. I think we can't hear you, Nora. You might be on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I had a little trouble with my microphone, sorry. We'll start with the compensation review process period start date. With this functionality, it is quite simple. You can choose the start date of the process period for each merit or bonus plan included in the compensation review. So if we take a look at it, when you initiate your merit process, you can now actually scroll down to the here. You can scroll down to the merit and bonus plan sections, and from this page you have on the grid on the table the process period start date that can now be overridden, which was not possible before. So note that selecting a process period start date will affect your process period for the selected plans, obviously. It also affects the time proration segments and the merit and bonus plan eligibility for plans with either the include employees terminated during process period or the include active employees assigned plan during process period options enabled. So when we override, here you have an example of a merit plan process period start date that is overridden. So the date was basically to January 7th. We overrid it, with January 15th. And now you can see that for this merit plan, well, the process period start date will be January 15th. We move on to our second feature, that is the custom calculation in compensation review. So this feature gives you the possibility to create a table, a calculation table, more precisely, that can be used or not during your compensation review. So we'll take the example here with a demo a calculation table that we created for this demonstration. So we configured this table before starting the compensation review, obviously. So within the table that you see here, this table has two calculations that are set up: the lump sum rate and the stock amount rate, and each calculation will update a specific field in the compensation review grid. So obviously the lump sum rate will update the lump sum amount, and the stock amount calculation will update the stock amount field. And in order to enjoy this new feature, you need to configure the security access and add the new custom calculation currency editable fields to the merit section of shared participation grid configurations. So just to conclude with this calculation table, you use it, for example, during your merit campaign. If let's say, as you see on the screenshot, if let's say the custom calculation currency is 200. So the merit amount will be 200, but for a specific group of workers, you want it to be 200 by 1.8, for example. So you can actually configure this calculation directly in the new calculation table, custom calculation table that you can use, and it will automatically put the result in your merit grid here. So our third feature is the possibility to add new organizations to compensation reviews. So note that this feature had over 300 brainstorm votes on the Workday community. So it is quite simple. It increases the flexibility with the ability to add workers and their organizations to an in-progress compensation review. So previously, when you removed a worker from a compensation review, you could only add them back as part of an org that was already part of the process. So you can now add workers to a process from organizations that were not originally part of the process. So the task to proceed is quite simple. It's the add employee to compensation review process. So you select the compensation review process that is concerned, and you select your employee that should be added to the process. Then you can select the pool amount. You have several pool amount options, and you select which one applies to the worker that you just added. And you can also add a notification in the process. Now, I'll leave the floor to Alexandra that will tell you about the benefits module.
So let's have a look at the first functionality for benefits. It is regarding the open enrollment, and we're talking here about a new design for the open enrollment interface. And this is an automatically available feature. So let's have a look in the next slide at the changes. So basically, the objective of this functionality is to increase the enrollment completion rate and to reduce the call volume of workers that are needing assistance with an open enrollment by making it more simple for them to use. So you can see on the interface here, on the image on the right, what the interface will look like. So you have all the different healthcare and accounts here, and you can directly click on one of them to be able to manage your applications. So an announcement can be configured on about open enrollment on your homepage, for example, and so this is to alert your employees that it can be updated directly from there, and it will lead them to this particular interface, the open enrollment interface. So that's it, basically. The second feature is the tobacco usage question. It is a new configuration for tobacco usage question in how workers can answer for themselves and their dependents. So you can customize tobacco usage with a task, which you can see in this page on the left, maintain enrollment instructions. Then you go and select tobacco use sections, and you're able here to update it and customize it. So you can add worker response options and additional response option. This is for employees and dependents. And you can also add instructional texts, which was not possible before. And you can also create surcharges for individuals or for groups of participants and add them to the healthcare plan. The third feature is about dependents and beneficiaries. So you have now the option to create new dependents and beneficiaries without linking them to existing person types. So before, let's have a look at how it used to be and how it's going to be now. So the idea is to prevent linking related people. So let's have a look at this situation. The initial situation was that Joe Parker is Logan's emergency contact in Workday, but he's also listed as her only beneficiary because of the spousal relationship. Now in the next slide, we're going to see that Logan wants to update her emergency contact to no longer be her spouse, but to be her sister. Without the new functionality, if Logan changes her emergency contact to her sister, it will also automatically change the beneficiary from her spouse to her sister, which is not always legal in some countries. So what we're preventing here with the new functionality is beneficiaries and dependents to be linked anymore. So now we can see here in the images that Joe Parker is still the beneficiary, but no longer the emergency contact. Which concludes the benefits presentation. And now Nora will present you the talent and performance features.
Okay, let's start with the qualification equivalence rule. This feature had 108 brainstorms, so it's quite an important one. So this one enables you to configure qualification equivalence rules that you can use to define complex certification requirements on job profiles, and you can create and assign those equivalence rules to for job profiles to track certification compliance requirements. So how does it work? Let's search and enter the following information. So we are creating a qualification equivalence rule that we call the developer rule. We put as rule conditions, the condition rule is the unexpired certification achievements. The relational operator is in the selection list, and the comparison value will be both certifications that we selected here in the grid, and it means that a developer can have should have any of the two certifications in order to be compliant. So in order for this equivalence rule make sense, we have to actually assign it. We have to assign it to a job profile with the task assign qualification equivalence rule that you see here on the right. So the rule that we created is now assigned to the job profile product development. And when we run the report job profile qualification equivalence rule compliance, we see whether or not workers are compliant against those rules. So here on the table in the column fulfilled qualification equivalence rule, we see those who do have both certifications, the workers who have both certifications, and the workers who don't. And so workers that are not compliant against this rule. Then we'll quickly see the guided experience for employee reviews and feedback from multiple recipients. So the guided experience for employee reviews is actually the extension by Workday of the support from performance reviews to all review type of the guided experience support. So the guided experience support is extended from performance reviews to all review types for redesign goals review for templates, for example. So workers can now complete their reviews using a more intuitive interface with fewer clicks, with a scrolling that is reduced and a navigation that is improved. Feedback from multiple recipients enables users to offer feedback to multiple recipients at once. It is quite self-explanatory, which improves flexibility and efficiency. So before, you were able to give feedback to only one worker at a time, and now you can give the same feedback to multiple workers at the same time. And our fourth and last talent feature is the managed calibration. So there are enhancements to the calibration event. So now you can add or remove workers in an in progress calibration event. So this gives you more control to better suit the needs of growing companies and organizations. So let's take a look at how it works. So I forgot to say that this new feature, the managed calibration, had 127 brainstorm votes. So it was quite a demanded one. So in order to add workers into calibration, you simply have this button at the bottom left of this screenshot, process workers. So you just click on process workers, and then you are brought over to the manage workers change under calibration tab, where you now have a new functionality, add workers, and you can search workers by their supervisory org, by hierarchy, location, or manager. And now we move on to the recruiting module with Alex.
So let's talk about the recruiting features, which some of them are quite expected and exciting. So the first feature is the auto tracking for recruiting sources. So Workday now delivers a conversion to automatically populate the recruiting sources for auto tracking prompt with the values that you can configure in the how did you hear about us prompt. The second feature is the save for later on external website. So this is a really nice feature because it will now allow to automatically save any unsubmitted job applications from external candidates on the website. So this will provide really a better experience for candidates. And how will that look exactly? Well, there will be two sections. The first one is my submitted applications, and below you're going to have the my draft applications. And from my draft applications, you can click in it and directly continue as an application which the candidate has started, which is very nice. And the third functionality is job application data purge. You can now purge job application data of any active worker, former worker, or candidate. So this is truly helping you to comply with any obligations, legal obligations, including data privacy policies, so GDPR, for example. So let's have a little demo with images. So we have here a candidate called Brian. He's been hired on with a job application on a job requisition. So he doesn't need anymore to have the information of the 2 other applications. So we want to remove these 2 other applications. So the first thing to do is going to be to create a custom report with a new data source called job applications for purging. So let's have a look in the next slide, please. So this new report with a new data source, it needs to be created. It's a very simple report to create. You only need 2 columns for the full name and the job application. And then in the next slide, we're going to see the filters that you're going to configure in the report. You're going to need the candidate ID and the job application, which are aimed to be removed from the system. Once that's done and the report is created, you're going to be able to use the task Purge Person Data by choosing the custom report which you've just created. So you can see in the image on the left the prompt where you can select it. Once you run this task, you will have to choose the data that you want to see purged from with the tick boxes. And note that the purging is final and cannot be reversed. So you can see now that Brian, the employee who had applied for 3 jobs, now only has 1 job application on his record. And when we check one of the other positions he applied for in the inactive candidate table, it says data purged. The 4th feature is candidate drop-off for external website. So this is a very interesting feature for recruiting professionals. Workday 33 delivers this series of new reports that you can now use to report on candidate drop-off. So candidate drop-off is when an external candidate has started the job application, but does not complete it until the end. It does not go to submit. So you're going to be able now to truly analyze the drop-off rate or the completion rate and where candidates at which stages candidates are dropping off. You will be able, in that sense, to analyze any configuration that may be contributing to candidate drop-off, but unwillingly. So we have here a few images of what these reports look like. So you can see these blue blocks where the percentage of drop-off is mentioned. So in the light blue, you have the drop-off rate, which is around 70% in this example. And you, in this screen, a little bit below, you're going to have more details in a table that we can see here with different kinds of informations, for example, by location or by job posting site or by company organization, by job profile, etc. These are the filters that you can select on the left. And you can, for example, check the overall drop-off rate of 70.4%. So I can use the panel on the left, like I said, to filter on the different things I want to see, what I want to filter on. And then the candidate apply flow page conversion allows me to see at which stage of the actual applications candidates have dropped off. So this report can be reached directly from the job posting management page, from the job posting itself. And there's this new button at the bottom of the page called View Apply Flow Page Conversion. If you click on that button, the pop-up window that appears proposes to add or remove job postings to compare and adjust a time range. And then the candidate apply flow page conversion. This report will show you the number of candidates which have reached every career site page and every stage of the application. Here you can see that it's decreasing, and this is the natural way. It's never going to be increasing. Starting from 100 candidates on the very left side of the screen, and you can see that at the end, in the final column, you have only 26 candidates who have completed until the end the application process. And you can see decreasingly how many candidates have reached each stage. Now let's have a look at the last one. So this is the candidate drop-off details report. It's very related to the previous one. This report gives the exact number of candidates who dropped off at the specific stage of the application process. So we saw in the previous report that there was important loss of candidates after this particular phase, which is the secondary external questionnaire. This report shows that 55 candidates dropped off at that stage, which is 74%. So as a recruiting professional, I can take action, as I was saying, to prevent any unintended candidate drop-off. If you see that the number is really weird, really inaccurate, or shockingly high, you can really target what's happening there and compare and maybe try to solve this, this issue. The fifth functionality is the consolidated tasks for offers. Workday 33 is supporting your high volume recruiting needs by enabling you to now consolidate the offer and compensation business processes. And that can be done into a workbook so that you don't have to carry out the tasks individually. So this really improves the recruiter efficiency for the offer business process. And the sixth functionality is external career site custom branding, which can be really, really nice for a lot of customers. So by experience, we do know that the Workday branding for the external career site is not always appreciated. So because the customization possibilities were not really great. So Workday is really trying to improve this with this feature. So let's have a look at this in detail. So you can go to the task, view all brands, and this is where the brands can be created and managed. So you can have different brands. Workday 33 really delivers the better capabilities here. So the first thing is the header setting. You can pick a background color. All the colors have defaults that can be overwritten when you choose a new color. The image banner, now you can choose between maintain proportions of the banner or keep height and crop image whenever you're decreasing the size of the window. And the buttons you can now choose the shape and color of the buttons. So let's have a look at the demo. Here you have a customized career site. So you can see at the top that the banner image can either disappear as you scroll down, or can be fixed at the top even if you scroll down, and then only the job search will move and scroll down. On the top left corner, you have the logo. So you can choose different sizes for the logo. On the top right page, we have some new navigation items with career home and search for jobs. The button color customization concerns the search bar, for example. And let's see in the next screen. The last thing about the branding is the progress bar. So candidate view of the job application process. So you can see that the banner is no longer there, and it's replaced with a more useful thing, which is the progress bar. The color of that bar can be customized as well. And that's it for the recruiting functionalities. Now Nora will speak about the learning functionalities.
Yes, thank you, Alexandra. So in learning, we'll start with the extended enterprise learning. So this functionality is improved. So you have now the ability to create and maintain extended enterprise job profiles, which simplifies how you identify learners and maintain their accounts. Tracking learner compliance is also improved by enabling you to define expiration details for extended enterprise learners. And new business process supports are created, which enables you to create and maintain extended enterprise learner accounts. So this enhancement is automatically available, and the new BP and several tasks that you have concern simply the creation, addition, deletion, or the possibility to view extended enterprise learning, extended enterprise job profile. Moving on to the second feature in learning, it's the learning content retraining management. That is another quite self-explanatory feature. It is possible now to easily maintain retraining needs across your organization. So let's take a quick look at what it looks like. From this screenshot, you see that the employee has 2 courses that are required for him. So one that has expired, it is quite visible on the screenshot. So you see the digital marketing research course has already expired, and the other one, the big data technologies and trends, is due on July 30th, the 30th of July. And so every time that a course that wasn't taken by the worker has expired, it is triggered to return in this required section. So this way, the worker can still see on his learning page, can still see the courses that he has to take. So this way, I mean, as a learning manager, you don't have to check the courses that were taken or not, and you just click on this trigger to return button, and the worker will always see them appear on their page. Moving on to the third learning feature, that is the learning equivalences. So Workday 33 enables you to create equivalency rules so you can define courses as equivalent to one or more other courses. So this improves the compliance management in your organization, and the equivalences support curriculum planning and simplify how users find equivalent content to satisfy learning requirements. So this is actually the possibility to create equivalency relationships between multiple courses. The equivalency relationships can be really simple or more complex. And a new BP tool is added to allow you to flexibly configure the approval of the equivalency rule. And there's also a new business object called Learning Equivalency Rule Event, so that is added to allow administrators to set condition rules around the approval of an equivalency rule. Now, our last feature for this module is the on-the-job training. So this is quite a nice new feature that actually allows workers learning managers to more easily assess trainings that are launched, for example, when a new worker is taking a new position. So here we have the example of a training that is managed by the learning manager. The training is called forklift operations. So we see that there is the training activity details and the assessment of this training. So now, as a learning manager, I can use this new feature to assess that a worker was trained on a specific activity without having to plan in any training session. This is quite nice and easier to handle when we have as I said, for example, a new worker in the company, and this worker needs to take for example here a forklift for a training to use a forklift. Sorry, and I can also add an assessor who will have the role to show this worker how the forklift works, and who will also assess the training once it is done. So this was the last feature for the learning module, and also for this presentation.
So we would like to really thank you for attending these webinars. So we hope that it was useful and that you learned something that could apply to your company for Workday 33. Please feel free to ask us any questions by email. We'll be happy to answer to any questions about Workday 33. And if there's anything that we can do to help your company with the release, we'd be happy to help. Thank you very much and have a great day.